Welcome to the Local Real Estate Show. Join us each week as we hear from local real estate professionals from around the country. We'll hear their stories, get their advice on the current market trends to the best ways to get the most out of your real estate purchases, sales, or investments. Whether you're just getting started and buying your first home or you are a seasoned real estate investor, there's something here for everyone. So buckle up and get ready to hear from the people who know the real estate industry the best. Now your host, Steve Champagne.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to today's show. Today, I have Christi Hill from Keller Williams in the Jacksonville, North Carolina market. We'll be interviewing her, talking about the market, getting into some questions for buyers and sellers. Welcome to the show, Christi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, let's get right into it. So why don't you give me a brief introduction about yourself?
Well, I actually have been local to the area about 25 years. I come from a military family. So the military brought me to the Jacksonville area. And yeah, I've been here ever since. And I got into real estate probably about 20 years ago. And I think that, just the military lifestyle that I come from really helped with that in our area.
Okay. Why did you become a real estate agent, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's a silly little thing, but I was in a college class and one of my professors challenged us with interviewing somebody that you wanted to somebody from an industry that you wanted to be a part of. And okay. I interviewed a real estate agent, and ever since then I fell in love with it. And I did not go back to college. Don't follow my lead on that one, but I went all into real estate and no regrets after that.
Okay. So you told me you've been in real estate close to 20 years. I got a question I have to ask you because our listeners are going to want to know the difference, and it's usually synonymous. We kind of think they're the same from buyer or seller. What's the difference between a real estate agent and someone who calls themselves a realtor?
That's a really good question. So
okay.
The biggest difference that I would like everyone to know is that when you are a real estate agent, right, you are licensed to sell real estate. But when you are a realtor, that means that you're held to a higher standard. You are bound by a code of ethics, and that integrity is just something that is in alignment with your day to day. So the big difference is your code of ethics and the professionalism that comes along with that designation.
All right. So someone who's ever looking to buy or sell a home should be working with a realtor versus just the everyday real estate agent. Okay. All right. So you're in the Jacksonville, North Carolina market, and I want you to tell me a little bit about North Jacksonville and why I should move there if I'm looking to buy a home.
Well, so Jacksonville, you could reach out from the Jacksonville area and be almost anywhere. We hug the coast. We're about 30 minutes from several different beaches. But, the heartbeat of our town is the Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune. Okay. So we have, I think, it's more of a sense of patriotism here. So when trying to find a place to relocate to, and you want somewhere that you can feel that and know that it's affordable, adding Jacksonville, North Carolina to the list of places to consider is something I'd highly recommend.
Okay. Real estate's been really hot the last couple of years. All the real estate agents and realtors I've been talking to have been, it's really hot. So what is the real estate market like right now in Jacksonville? What can a buyer expect?
You can expect in our area, because we are transient, we have a lot of people coming and going because of the military and its influence here. You're going to see that anything under 250 price point is going to move relatively quick. So if you're looking for that price point, know that you're going to be met with competition and that you need to stay vigilant when you're looking for homes, and stay aggressive when you are searching online. And as for an actual seller on the other side, that know that you are still in the driver's seat, and that the appreciation rate, it might not be where it was for the last 2 years, but still it's still going in a positive direction because of the impact of our military.
Okay, since you have a very transient group, and people come in for 3 to 4 years, inventory turns to turn over a fair amount.
It does, absolutely. We usually see, we call it PCS season. We usually see around the summer time frame that we have more people searching the market for homes, and more people exiting.
Okay. What is new construction like right now in the market?
They are building a bigger home here, and I see that, and in my opinion, they're just not building enough of it, right?
Okay.
I think supply is still a huge issue. I think the small builder is still scared to come out and start again because of the supply issues. But prices are still remaining strong. I think the higher price points, if you are looking at anything over a 500,000 price point in new construction, you're going to start seeing the prices leveling off, or seeing some sort of price reduction, but not drastic to where it would send ripples. It's more of a stabilization of prices.
Okay, great. All right, so let's dive into some questions around buying and purchasing home for the first-time home buyer. And the question I like to ask everybody is, do I really need to have a real estate agent or a realtor to buy a home?
I think now, in the days of so much information out there, and with one click you can get almost anything you need information-wise, it is more important now, because we believe what we read. We believe what we see. And actually hiring a professional that does this every single day keeps you in the know, or keeps the information more present, and can articulate and make or help you understand how the real estate market is changing, or how it can help, or how they have to do things if they want to enter it, right? And that local market professional is, they see it every single day. And what I'm seeing is buyers coming in and thinking that they know, and maybe finding themselves at a disadvantage for not using somebody, costing them money longevity-wise.
Okay. All right. So I found a house. How does the negotiation process work from a buyer's point of view?
So I find a house, and I'm already working with a real estate professional. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is understand the contract, understand the timeline, understand what the entire process looks like. Because if you're not comfortable with how it looks in the middle or the end, then we shouldn't move forward, because that can be costly, right? That can absolutely, you can lose money if you're not comfortable with what it looks like later. So the first thing that I always suggest is knowing what you're signing, and understanding what the actual transaction looks like, the timeline, and being comfortable with it.
All right. All right. So we get the negotiation down. Next thing is, you made your offer. It's time for the appraisal. What happens during the appraisal process for the buyer? What can a buyer expect with the appraisal? What should happen? Yeah.
So the appraisal process is that period of time where if we're getting financing, that the bank wants to verify that the amount of money that they're giving the buyer, that the asset is worth it, the house is worth it, right? And with such a dominant VA market here, we are seeing that, of course, a lot of our sales are contingent on that appraisal, and that appraiser is going to validate that the pricing, the market value, in alignment with what the contract says, what you're paying for, what you're getting the loan for.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about down payments. And you just talked about the VA program, which is the biggest, probably a loan program that is being utilized in your market. Let's talk about the down payment requirements for a VA loan versus say a conventional loan.
The beauty of living in an area where where the VA loan is embraced versus kind of frowned on, unfortunately, is beautiful because we get to help so many more first-time home buyers utilize this gift, right, for their service, and that's 100% financing, making it to where they don't have to put a down payment down. It really is beautiful, and all they really have to worry about is their closing cost, if anything. Now, on the other side of that conventional financing, where we don't see as much here, you're having to put anywhere between 5 and 20% down, which, for a first-time home buyer can be the amount of their closing cost, or if, we have a veteran that is paycheck to paycheck, could be everything. So having the access to that VA financing and being able to, like I said, embrace it in our area is a benefit to buying in our area.
All right. One more question for buyers, and there's generally some confusion around this, and I want to make sure that anyone who's listening to this podcast today and who's thinking about buying a home, that they know the difference between pre-qualification and pre-approval when it comes to mortgages. Can you expand upon that a little bit for me?
Absolutely. So when we actually have somebody that is pre-qualified versus pre-approved, we like to let our sellers know, or even educate our buyers as to what that really means. And the best way I've found to help them digest it or understand it better is that the pre-qualification is more of a soft hole. It's more of a surface level qualification, where your pre-approval, they've been vetted a little bit more. They've gone deeper with the financials of the buyer, and it adds more of a layer of certainty with their financing when it comes to presenting that to a homeowner when we are discussing offers.
Okay, so you have a pretty hot market right now. You got multiple offers on your lower priced inventory. So being pre-approved for a mortgage when you're out there house hunting probably makes sense for your market.
Absolutely. And working with somebody that knows what they're doing, an expert, is, I think, critical, especially when you're competing.
Okay, great. All right, that wraps up my series of questions around home buying. I'm going to dive into a few questions now for someone who's thinking about selling their house in the Jacksonville market. And first of all, how are you determining the current market value of that person's home when you take it on as a listing agent?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, when we determine market value, we like to look at the home. There are so many different opportunities to say my house is worth X, right? But without actually walking into someone's home, I don't believe that we can determine value. Now, the next thing that we do is we look at the houses that have sold in equal square footage, equal age, in a certain, let's say, proximity from that specific home, to make sure that, for one, that they are alike, but then taking those properties and we say adjusting them to each other and getting the market value from that. It's derived from the median value of the last 3 sales that are really an arm's length away from the house that we're trying to price.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good answer. Actually, that's probably the best answer I've heard to date in my interviews, because that's actually what does happen. Okay. So where are you when it comes to making recommendations on repairs and upgrades for your sellers? Should they be making upgrades and repairs?
So I like to always say that this is my attorney answer. It just depends. So now, if we walk into a home that it is probably not in condition to where financing is an option, we're going to recommend certain things that may be a little bit more expensive, but it really is to open up an opportunity to get more buyers, especially with the type of financing that is here, right? Now, ones that I don't recommend to do all the bells and whistles are ones that we need maybe Formica versus granite type of upgrades, because my rule of thumb is if we can only maybe get half of what you're spending out in value, then maybe it's not an amount that we need to spend as far as selling.
Okay.
So
So
I
you
wouldn't do the upgrade. I wouldn't always do the upgrade.
okay? Generally, just fresh paint, little curbside appeal, and some carpeting if need be.
Exactly. Making
Okay.
it curb appeal pop and
hmm
yeah, when you just hit it right on the head, the carpet and paint. Those are the things
Mm,
that buyers look at.
yeah. Okay. You did mention your hot market, but what is the best time of the year to sell a home in Jacksonville?
We see what we call it a PCS move. We
hmm
see in the summer
hmm
timeframe more of a push to in come to our area. So we have a high number of first time home buyers usually in the summertime, and because they want to get into a home before school starts, right?
hmm
And we also see more houses come on the market in that same time frame because they're doing the same thing. They're exiting our market,
hmm
probably going to another duty station. So if you're looking to see more of a transient move, it's usually in
hmm
our summer season.
Okay. All right. So you absolutely have multiple offers going on in your market based on our conversation so far. So how are you handling multiple offers for your sellers? What do you do for them?
First and foremost, fairly, right?
hmm
It is important that we take the sellers, what they
hmm
how they want the offers into consideration, how they want to present it. Um,
hmm
so if it is right as they come in, that is what we're doing. But we like to make it a good practice that if we're in a multiple offer situation, that
hmm
we are taking those offers, summarizing them, sorry, and
hmm
presenting them back to the seller to where it's also easy information to digest. It's a lot of paperwork and simplifying that process for them so they can
hmm
make a decision that is a huge financial decision is easy and not stressful.
Okay. All right. So every time I ask this question, I get some pushbacks, but I'm going to ask it anyways, is because I think sellers and buyers both want to know how you get paid and what commissions are when it comes to real estate. So what are the average real estate commissions for real estate agents? How's that split up between buyer and seller? And can you expand upon that for me?
So I can tell you for the most part what we do, and
hmm
I can tell you that from what I've seen on what's available to me, because I don't know
hmm
necessarily all. But you can see anywhere between for a cooperating broker, we like to say that it's better known as the buyer's agent, right?
hmm
Uh, that you can get 2 to maybe 2.5 to 3%
hmm
for that representation, right? That
Okay.
is very clear because the MLS lets us know that. Now, far as a listing side of the transaction,
hmm
I think that will vary on the services that you are able to give your seller. And I
hmm
know that we have anywhere between a 3 to 3.5%
hmm
variation of what the services that we offer. Now, as
hmm
far as other real estate professionals, I don't know if they're in line with that, but they're
hmm
I believe that they are
hmm
because they. um, yeah, I don't know how to. You're right. It's a really hard question to answer,
Okay.
but that is my belief.
Yeah. So basically, there's roughly about 6% of the sale of the house that generally gets split up between the buyer's agent and the seller's representation, and that can vary depending upon the mix.
Yeah, depending on what the seller and the listing agent have agreed to. Yes.
Agreed. Okay. All right. Last question for sellers, and I know it's not that big of an issue in your market. It could be, but I don't think it is, and that is. Do I have to pay capital gains if I sell my home? So talk a little bit about that. I know you're not an accountant. I know you're not an attorney, but there are some basic guidelines here. I like our listening public in the Jacksonville market to know about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, also rule of thumb that if you're looking to sell and you haven't owned your home for two
hmm
years and you stand to make $250,000 or more, that
hmm
the likelihood of paying capital gains is great. And that's where I would absolutely put you in front of your accountant, CPA, or tax professional. But there's also the opportunity for 1031 tax-free exchanges, where we see investors in our market that use this wonderful tool to defer tax liability into another property. And really knowing or having a real estate professional that knows the ins and outs of how that specific program works is, I think, crucial to an investor if they want to utilize it.
Okay, so you decided to go down that rabbit hole, so I'm going to chase you a little bit.
Okay.
There's a couple dates associated with 1031 exchanges, and so let's talk about the first date that is associated that an investor needs to know about when it comes to that 1031 exchange. How many days do they have to find that property and put an offer on it?
I believe it's 45. They caught me with that question. So I believe it's 45 and 100 days to close.
180 days.
Okay, so
they give you 6 months to close on that. Okay. All right. So that wraps up the seller questions. That wraps up the purchase questions. Great. We're just got 2 more questions to wrap up, and then we'll finish up this interview today. Thanks for coming on the show again. All right. All right. So here we go. So there's a lot of real estate agents, a lot of realtors in the Jacksonville market. So why should someone who's looking to buy or sell their home work with you versus, say, one of your competitors?
Another great question, but I think that the part that I want everyone to know is our sense of community, that our value proposition as a team is that we give back to our community. Almost everyone from our team either from here or has been here and has some sort of ties to the community. And I think that with our transient market, with people not being here very long, having somebody that knows the area as well as we do and as committed to our community as we are is valuable. And I think it does stand us. It separates us.
All right. I'll buy my house with you. Okay. All right, here we go. If someone wants to get a hold of you to buy or sell their home, how can they do it? What's your contact information?
The easiest way to get me is by phone, 910-934-1174. That is a direct line personally. Or they can reach us at our website at the ChristiHillTeam.com. And we are available immediately upon registration. So.
Okay. Well, Christi, thank you for coming on the show. Everybody, until the next episode, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to the Local Real Estate Show. If you are a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, or a closing company and would like to be a guest on an upcoming show, please visit thelocalrealestateshow.com for more information. Thanks for listening.